binge. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Noel John Toohey.
And this is Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. Let's get to it, motherfuckers.
What will happen?
Sorry, Noel. We're back. And this is another episode of Potty Snatchers, you motherfucker. And we've come here today to talk a little bit about the future of the genre we all know and love so motherfucking well. That being
we're going
horror.
To pontificate.
I was like, that being Irish folk. But yeah, so like back in the day on Dark Side of the Moon or the show, we did an episode called What Is, where we looked into the future of the MCU, and we kind of, as you said, pontificated. We kind of turned it a slightly not so educated eye onto what the future of the MCU. We decided, like, we kind of played the odds and said how we thought things were going to turn out and what way they were going to turn out. So we decided to, because we lack a little bit of originality. It's what we do. It's our generation. We can't help ourselves. So we said we do a little bit of something like this. And
exactly.
We'll look at the current landscape of horror, and then we'll look to the future and see what it may hold for the genre we love. So Noel, over the last few years, maybe the last 10 or so, I think would be the best way to kind of go back if we're looking retroactively. We spoke a little bit about before we start recording was horror itself has started to come more mainstream in the likes of the Conjuring universe, Insidious, It Chapter 1, Chapter 2, A Quiet Place 1. Yeah, so like those kind of mainstream successes, do you think we kind of were talking back and forth, do you think they're good for the genre? Do you think it's cool to see a wider scope in terms of the broader appeal that these movies bring? Or do you think it's a case of, it's our club, get out of it, you motherfuckers, you casual motherfuckers?
There is that kind of elitism that I can't help but to feel a little bit. Like, we were here before, it was cool.
Fans do it the best.
Yeah, Star Wars fans do it the best. And metal fans do it the best in music.
And
Trekkies, yeah. They're the same thing.
It's like I don't care what color the door was, and I don't care what the serial number and his ensign, motherfucker. Jar Jar Binks was a beast. That's all I'm saying about that.
I'd say let's get some controversy going. Hashtag justice for Jar Jar.
Oh, that's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt.
Oh my god. I just start writing t-shirt notes throughout the episode. It's like
I've even forgotten your question. You were talking about whether it's good. I have to say that I have to admit that they've knocked it out of the park. Like, it's a very hit and miss genre, and I love it.
Yeah,
but it's a very hit and miss genre, especially with it's never like the landing. A lot of horror films just can't stick the landing after doing everything right. A lot of films are very formulaic. They're just that exact kind of trope. But then you got an It, like 27, the first It outing in 2017 of the new the revamp, and then you got A Quiet Place. And I've enjoyed some of the Insidiouses, and I'm just thinking, yeah, you know what? Wow, actually, they're doing this on a scale, and it's like Bird Box and stuff like that, and I'm just impressed. So I do think that, and we're still getting them kind of, if you go and check what movies are available, there seems to be a horror available every 20 minutes. Yeah. So there's still quite a lot of horror out there.
That's why we love horror.
Yeah, exactly. But I do think it's been good, but I do also think that it's worrying. You're wondering if they're just going to start mass producing them, if the quality's going to wane. Because I'm starting to think, like, what if they're saying, like, okay, we're seeing a 200-300% return on these kind of average bled out properties like Paranormal Activities or something like that. We can make them, we'll make our money. We have to make more to make billions, but we can just do that. I'm worried that it'll lean into that, but I am optimistic that there's a couple of big directors who are taking a passion for horror, like James Wan and John Krasinski, of course, has entered the fray and stuff like that.
But it's in horror, like, of all the genres, that's not always been guilty of bleeding his properties and franchises to death.
I can't think of a genre. Yeah, I mean, you can have some of the Star Wars. There's been so many spin-offs and a spin-off of the series and stuff. You can look at examples. But horror on the whole, I think we're up to Paranormal, like Saw. I think Friday
the 13th,
Friday Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween's.
It's not Halloween's just a modern day occurrence,
The last Halloween is somehow Halloween, like, 8 and also Halloween 2 at the same time. You know what I mean?
I think the perfect example of horror in terms of how it looks at this franchise is Friday the 13th. I think it's like part 4 is called Friday the 13th, the last chapter or the final chapter. And there's like 7 more movies after or something. You know what I mean? That's what I love about that. I think that encapsulates horror perfectly in the Friday the 13th franchise. Is that is the perfect show of how you bleed a franchise so dry that it forgets everything that it used to be. And I think that's the problem with horror franchises. You can say about Star Wars and Star Trek. And Star Wars, I think you could levy this out a bit more. And I know some people had issues with Star Trek Discovery, but like when you look at horror as a whole, it has a terrible habit of getting franchises and bleed them to a point that they no longer resemble their original fucking
Saw. The best example I can think of is Saw.
Saw, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween.
But Saw kept going back and saying, but did he? Because they killed off everybody. He like Kramer's dead in the third movie or something like that.
Remember the dude in Jigsaw? He was like, I got your name wrong on the label, dude. I worked a 72-hour shift, guy. You know what I mean?
This is, if anything, this is just systemic for our
If anything, you should have the medical system here. The healthcare system should be here with a bucket on its head, being chained and ran towards the saw, which is a bit on the nose. Consider
lobbyists, get your lobbyists in. They're the ones who are fucking levying these. Yeah, absolutely. But it completely just decided. You see somebody get absolutely sliced to bits by a machine that turns into chutney, or did they? Because at the last minute, Kramer realized that he'd forgiven and blah, blah, blah. And that just absolutely got
I realized that I might have slightly overreacted considering what you did was an honest mistake and considering the X-rays.
Honest mistake.
Yeah, the X-rays looked identical. Also, you were probably on a 72-hour shift, like I previously mentioned, only awake because of all the fucking methamphetamines that you just prescribed yourself in the back clinic. But it's okay. You haven't seen your family in 3 weeks, but it's okay. It's okay. I decided that the simple label that you misplaced was not worth attaching a bucket and a chain to your head and dragging you across the floor to a fucking automatic mechanism. So whatever. Fuck you, John Kramer. Chill the fuck out, guy.
But I do think that that we're seeing both, aren't we? There's two sides of the sword, and that is some new properties, but also, and even more so, rehashing and just bleeding of properties as well.
You hear that sound? The milking of the teeth.
The milking of the teeth. And to be fair, sometimes they just try something and it doesn't work, and they just like that. We only got one revamp of Freddy. It was bad. Everyone agreed it was bad, and we didn't do it again. But like, who's to say? In the next 10 years, do I think we'll be in Nightmare on Elm Street?
Netflix. They're just they have
Netflix will take it. Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre comes out this Friday.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that's the trifecta.
That's probably what we should have covered this week.
Probably what we should have done.
We spoke about that a few weeks ago. It's good. We'll get to it. We'll do it all in one go. Do it all in one go.
It's been around since like 1970.
Producers in my ear. We missed an opportunity. Cool. We'll get to it. We let it simmer.
But that's it. You've had Halloween and you've had Friday the 13th and you've had Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Freddy have all been revamped since 2010.
Yeah, like there must have been a case of rights issues because Platinum Dunes, who is it's a production company run by Michael Bay, if I'm not mistaken, who pretty much just ran into my childhood and raped all my fucking happy memories. Like pretty much they remade the Transformers, they did fucking the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, even though I kind of enjoyed those new ones because the turtles look badass, but they look fucking weird. But they also did, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm nearly 100% sure, in the late 2000s, they were behind a lot of these horror remakes. It must have been something to do with a rights reversion or some rights issue or something, because in the space of
a lot of things have to be made or you lose the rights.
That's what I'm saying, like the Sony Spider-Man issue for a long time.
That's what jumps to mind. Sony Spider-Man is such a huge property, like it's the one that jumps to mind.
Because in the space of like a 5 or 6 year period, it's something we spoke about, I think, on the Remix Reboots episode, check it out on Spotify, is that Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I think Rob Zombie's Halloween all came out within a 5 or 6 year period, give or take. So there must be a rights issue there somewhere. Even though I know Mustafa Akkad owns the rights to Halloween, I do not know who produced the Rob Zombie remake. So that could be the separate thing altogether, because I know his son now owns the rights to, because his name is included at the start of the new Halloween movies. Because Mustafa Akkad used to own the rights to, but I know his son owns the rights to now, and I can't remember his fucking name. But
and there's a lot. It's funny because some properties are just not touched and then rushed into development because they want to keep it, and some tripe is thrown out to us. Yeah, and like the famous Fantastic Four of the 90s, those poor fuckers been brought on a press tour for a film that was never going to see the light of day. But I do think that horror's been having. I thought horror was having a moment 5 or 6 years ago now, but now I think it's kind of becoming a titan. They tried to do an expanded monster universe again, that didn't work. But there is these ambitions that people are having to try and bring it completely into the mainstream. And people just like horror. I feel like there was a time where they didn't, and now people like genuinely supernatural kind of paranormal horror movies. And I'm they're my kind of favorite kinds. For me, that's great.
It's probably the surest case of you got people that grew up that were exposed to horror of the 80s. Guys like me and you, guys that are slightly older than us, girls, women as well that are slightly older than us that have kids now and they've had kids in the meantime. And we grew up with horror as a big gene, a big mentality, a big fucking backbone of our media consumption, our content consumption. And I think it's getting to the case now where people are from that generation are just getting into these creative positions, into these creative roles. And because they grew up with that, it's like I mentioned about video game adaptations, where I think they'll improve over time because you have these backbone, and it turns in the same with the creators, it's the audience, that the people that have grew up with these horrors and have a real appreciation for a lot of these properties. We're coming of age now and we have kids, or some of us have younger kids, some of us have slightly older kids, whatever, but they were exposing these people or these kids, whatever, to horrors, and then they're bringing it on and all this, and it's becoming more and more mainstream in the same way superhero movies did, because you had parents to grow up with this shit that brought their kids to it. And
you could be bringing your grandkids to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Like, that's you're talking insane. About a 50-year-old property. You could be bringing your grandkids. You could bring your 20-year-old and your 70-year-old and the mother, you could. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's
crazy. Like, and I'm sure that shit happens. Like, and I think that's the case. I think it's just the generation that grew up with that real passion for horror that wasn't there before is there now, and they're kind of like descendants, their kids are us. And like, we're kind of into that stage now, even though I don't know if your parents are big horror fans. Mine weren't really horror fans. But like,
no, mine weren't. No.
Yeah, but my older brother William, who passed away, he was a huge horror fan, and that's what bled it into me. So like, I'm always saying to, like, a lot of my influences came from my brother William. He had this gigantic VHS collection back before he passed away in the mid-90s. In the late 90s, and 97, would that be mid or late?
That'd be late. Yeah, no, that'd be well late. Yeah.
So 97. So he passed away in the late 90s. So he had like a massive VHS collection. That's where I got a lot of my early exposure. And that's what I'm talking about. He was a horror fan. He made me a horror fan. Like, and like, you can tell, like, my daughter's going to be a horror fan because she loves all that spooky kid shit. And that's the same way I got into horror when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You can just see
horror light.
It's the horror lineage. And I think that's why we're getting more mainstream horror, to circle back to our point, is that we're seeing a horror lineage, that legacy effect of real passionate horror fans, and they're making it mainstream because they're becoming creators and they're making this horror that everybody loves in the same way that they wanted everybody to love the horror that they loved, that kind of way.
I think we're getting desensitized too. I think we can.
Yeah, some of that shit.
I think we could. Your daughter probably wouldn't be as freaked out as somebody 30 or 40 years ago would have been. Back when the people were getting sick in the cinema and Exorcist and stuff like that. Back when people were having panic attacks and being brought out in stretchers. And
like, but you know what? The Vietnam War motherfuckers. Why you think The Exorcist?
Yeah. But but the shit we've actually, something like a Hostel came along, and I have to say, when I seen Hostel first back in 2003, which is nearly 20 years ago now, I was like, whoa. I am uncomfortable in a way that I have not previously been uncomfortable, because this was just out and out vagina.
Erection.
Yeah. Because of the pants I wore that day.
Yeah, man, I watched Hostel and I was like, oh, that's how I die. Because like, if somebody came at me with all them Slovakian chicks and I was like a 21-year-old, 22-year-old, like those kids are in that movie.
That was it.
There's no way. There's no way.
They come back.
Way. Literally.
And it was so dire. You know what I mean? Like,
your dick would become a sentient being and would control every motion and every action you would commit.
Imagine just like your whole body just goes limp. Eyes open, but that's about
it. It's just like, you're just like being held by your dick, like, and it's a one eye open, and it's just your dick, and he's out like a periscope. And he's like
it's some sort of like perverted ratatouille,
Splattatouille.
But like, also but that I would say, like, let's just say it was a bit of a watershed moment for me, where people in 2023 would see a film like that and they've heard of or have seen the Hostel franchises and all of the Saw. Saw for me got so silly that I didn't have that kind of grit to it. But I remember
for torture
we are
porn,
just
it's a massive movie.
But the more desensitized people go, the more you can do. Therefore, the more ideas that are on the table that people can say, yeah, we can make that. We can make that movie. You couldn't make that movie in the 80s or 90s. You just wouldn't have been allowed to.
Do you think it's a case that you talk about desensitization, that when people become so desensitized that we lose interest in that thing, so we actually kind of become more nostalgic and revert back to the mainstream, the chills, the spooks, the kind of like, you know, this supernaturally shit, the ghosty shit, like, you know what I mean, that kind of shit where you have like chills and kind of spooky shit. And like, or you talk about your more mainstream, like A Quiet Place is not out and out scary, it's not out and out gory, it's not out and out vicious, but we all love it because it's chilling, it's creepy. You talk about an 8, it's not out and out scary, but it's chilling, creepy. You can imagine yourself being a 12-year-old kid or a 10-year-old kid being in that situation. It's that nostalgic things. Like when it got to a stage, I think that horror became all about how extreme it could be, that the people that were exposed to it, or the people that exposed themselves to it, like me or you, watched like a Human Centipede, fucking Martyrs, like a fucking La Cavière, the Ordeal, that movie.
Salo.
I haven't seen Salo, but you've seen Salo. So like Irreversible, fucked up shit like that, shit that we grew up with. Because
shit I've seen once.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Shit we've seen a dozen times, whatever. I have a problem. But no, but like it's a case of like, I think we grew up with that, and it kind of became a case of one-upsmanship, not just with the creators, but also with the audience itself. And eventually we lost interest because our bloodthirst was like satiated, I think, after a while. And we're just like, oh, the reflection of the content we're consuming looks bad upon us. You look at like a Salo, like you did, or look at like Caviar, like I did. Like you look at this and you go, maybe this is a bad thing for me to be actually consuming this kind of stuff.
Do you remember when we used to just watch this for fun?
Yeah, like, you know, exactly, and not just for extreme giggles or it's, you know.
That's why Fear Street was just so entertaining. I just enjoyed it so much. It was so nostalgic as well as being so entertaining in its own right and silly in the right way. So I do think there is that kind of, there's almost like the adrenaline junkie, and then you kind of you do something that is so extreme, and then you kind of stop and go, well, dude, I don't think I should keep going this direction.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you do something like you start fucking around in a height or something. That's the kind of
thing.
Exactly.
Or you stop using harnesses as much and stuff like that, because that's the only way you're getting what you probably got from like jumping off a 20-foot wall when you're a kid. You're now getting from, you know, standing on top of the Eiffel Tower without any safety equipment.
It's like it's like that dude that walked between the two twin towers. He said he got out there for like 45 minutes and he said to himself, it's enough time. I spent enough time out here. That kind of thing. Like he was like, okay, if you spend more time out here, you're taking the piss, that kind of thing. And I think that's the case it was with horror. If we keep watching this kind of shit, we're kind of encouraging them to make this kind of shit.
And that's it. It's just because there is a supply and demand aspect to horror, like supply and demand aspect, everything, entertainment, absolutely everything. But I do think that's the thing, that horror is branched off in so many different directions now that I think it's the most, like, horror is, when you're looking at films or something like that and you look at the genre, I feel like horror is the one that intertwines the most, because horror sci-fi, horror fantasy, horror thriller, and, you know, horror supernatural.
That's what superhero is going to be the same as horror, I think, and so it's going to.
You made a good point on. I can't remember what the
ROC was Turn to the Critics. Check it out on Spotify.
Turn to the Critics. Check it out on Spotify. Absolutely awesome dudes. Very funny. But it's. It was a question about fatigue. Will we get fatigued? And you said no, because it's such a broad spectrum.
Yeah,
it's people capable of superhuman things, and you could have that on any scale.
Yeah, it's not just it's not the genre that will suffer from fatigue, but it's not subgenres contained. The amount of subgenres you can contain within an overheading genre is what will actually create longevity for that genre in itself. And that's why I compare superhero movies to horror, because of all the subgenres you can contain within its overall overarching genre. And like same way with sci-fi, but not to the same extent. But that's why these things have longevity, because you can make a supernatural horror, you can make a torture porn horror, you can make a fucking possession horror, you can make a serial killer horror, you can make a cannibalistic horror, you can do all these things.
And you can mix them all together.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing to stop you from doing that either. Yeah, but do you think, looking at the amount of films I've seen some absolute shit, I have to say. I've seen some absolute start though. What did I watch? School Bodies last night. School Body, don't watch it. It's just absolute shite. The Sledgehammer. It was
So this was
for me.
Noel. This was Noel last night. Hey, dude, I just caught a good. I'm just about to watch a good movie. It sounds interesting. Maybe we should cover in tomorrow's episode of Potty Snatchers. And I'm like, what's it about? It's like, and he gave me the synopsis, told me the name of the movie, and about an hour later, I think you were like, yeah, dude, let's not cover this. It's shit. I regret it.
I regret everything. Oh my god! I mean, I was saying to Sheila that the director of this said, "Okay, people, I only have one rule: we break absolutely no new ground. We." So help me God, if anything original happens on this set, I will lose my shit.
Was it like horror by numbers? Like
yeah, you know,
like, I mean, saying tropes somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there was they get locked in a school and there's a guy with a sledgehammer and there's the bitchy kind of thinks she's too good for everyone teen, and they like the one that like she's supposed to be a mess but she's actually the best looking of them, but she's the smart one, but she's like objectively the best looking woman in the film. Yeah, no, it was just a formulaic mess, and not in a fun way, because horror, I love horror that gets self-aware and has fun with itself.
Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods, God tier. Absolutely God tier.
We should cover that sometime, actually.
We should cover that, yeah. Just a great film. A movie I watched umpteen times.
Yeah.
But this didn't have that self-awareness. But I did make me think of, wow, I have seen such a pendulum of horror movies.
Yeah.
Like it swings.
You have
really
to, dude.
wide.
When you're chasing that dragon, every now and again, that heroine's not going to be as good as the last batch, you know?
No, that's exactly it. But it makes me wonder, hence the question, how do I feel about the horror genre going forward? And forgetting that, like, oh, such a film's coming out this year, such a film's coming out next year. That's the short view. Do I think that the direction of it, am I happy with it? And of course, you can't be completely happy because entertainment can hit and miss. But I feel like I'm cautiously optimistic, if I was supposed I had to put it into a sentence.
Yeah, I think because of the global environment we kind of live in now, in terms of the content we consume, I think it's actually a great moment for horror, because we're starting to see a more mainstream appeal in what we spoke about before of foreign language horror. And I just think, like, when you have that kind of mainstream appeal and that kind of like the branching over, we're going to see content in a completely different way, from a completely different style, a completely different continent than the ones we're accustomed to seeing. So I think there's a good future outside of Hollywood. Hollywood, I'm a little bit more iffy about, simply because they keep rehashing these fucking franchises. They keep, like, I'm all up for like Lee Cronin, fellow Irishman, but another Evil Dead movie, another Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Friday, another Halloween this October. You know what I mean? Like another Friday 13th, probably not far around the corner. Like another fucking Nightmare on Elm Street's going to be coming soon. And we had Scream 5 just came out last month. Scream 6 just got greenlit. You know, it's just one of those things that, like, we have to be very careful about getting bogged down in already pre-existing franchises and forgetting about this fucking, like, there's so many creatives out there that are like that probably have, there's probably 101,000 fucking horror books that have never been made. But yet we've had
absolutely.
Yeah, but yet we've had 15 Frankensteins, we've had 101 Draculas, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
worlds have been made that haven't even been given the sniff. Because honestly, at the end of the day, they're trying to make money. And at the end of the day, there's only so often that somebody's going to try and actually like swing for the rafters.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, again, me and you watched Quiet Place and went, wow, that was just refreshing. That was just, it was just refreshing. It just didn't feel like anything else at the time.
It's like It Follows. When I saw It Follows, like, you know, that was new to me. It was really eerie. And it showed it had a real passion.
Slow, but I thought I had a slow but constant burn.
Like Halloween 1.
You know,
it really reminded me of Halloween 1. Like a lot, you could see a lot of it, the setting, the suburban setting, the style of the way they dressed. It was like even the point where she saw it outside, It Follows, the creature that follows her. And she saw it outside her school window. She's sitting in the exact same seat that Laurie Strode is sitting in Halloween 1. Like, there's Halloween's all over that movie, and maybe why I love it so much. But it had that new thing, because whereas Michael Myers was kind of like the personification of that, but this was the actual epitome of this like faceless, foreboding, living manifestation of death.
And it always knows where you are.
Yeah,
no matter
marches.
What, not runs, marches.
Yeah, forever.
Ever forward, never tires, has that Terminator kind of that determination where it doesn't think like you do. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't need sleep. It just walks until it finds you. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
I would have passed it to a hooker. because if she passes it to a hooker, she'd pass it on to someone, and then even if they die, it goes straight back to the hooker, and she'll probably pass it back on to someone in the meantime. It'll go
So
back
it's just
on to that
John's
person.
getting killed.
Yeah, so like like a reverse serial killer.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. It's just a reverse serial killer. But that was a new world. That was a new idea, and it wasn't even like breathtakingly new. It was like, that's a nice twist on the narrative, because it's an invisible. It's like that. It's a Final Destination. Was
That's another
awesome.
One. That's another franchise that was bled to death.
That's the thing. That first film was absolutely spectacular, and then they said, right, we're onto something here. And again, somebody wrote a book that could have been easily made into a into a screenplay, and somebody's going, no, we have the rights to this, so we're just going to bleed.
So that's the thing. Yeah, you can understand it financially.
That's it. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. You could complain about it, but if you were in their boots and you're like, wait, look, this is you need to make this amount of money. This is what we do. You were like, well, this will work. I know this will work. Now, this might blow all expectations out of water, but maybe it'll sink us.
Yeah,
and that's.
I can imagine being an executive. I haven't slept in 2 days because I've been snorting cocaine out of some Thailand prostitute's face. And I come in, I've got my annual meeting, a big fucking GM meeting or some shit. I go in, everyone's there, and I'm like, they're like, do you have any new ideas? I walk in there and I'm like, I got an idea, motherfuckers. Yeah, I got an idea. You like Final Destination? You like Final Destination? Final Destination 5. What up? And bonus checks, bitches. And then you imagine it though, like, you know what I mean? Like, where it's like, this guy just comes in, he's just like, fuck, I've got no more ideas. Final Destination 5. How about that, motherfuckers? And they're like, I love it.
And let's say they're all on a I'm going to say a slide. Just a slide. So you want like 20 people to die on a slide, a big slide, very big. Big slide. Water park slide.
Water park, Final Destination, water park, bonus check.
Final Destination, and it all takes place in a water park.
Yeah. And Jaws is the bad guy. Oh my god.
That's it. And somebody just hands you a bag of money. And well, a lot of times that is what it is. As Kevin Smith said, like he spoke to somebody about making a Superman film, and it turned out it was some Hollywood star's hairdresser that he started with. Yeah, and he said in Hollywood you fail upwards.
Yeah,
and so I do think that the shortcoming is that they don't try enough, because every now don't get me wrong, sometimes they swing for the rafters and it's absolute bullshit. So I kind of get it, but I don't know. I hope the future of horror. I hope they take some gambles.
Yeah, we have another Jeepers Creepers coming. Like, I don't think gambles are going to be taken, dude.
No, there's going to be that anomaly. There's always the anomaly, but it's not going to be the trend.
A couple of years ago, I was on a podcast, CGC podcast, and I said what I could see because of the current climate was that we'll see a lot of franchises being sequelized, rebooted, remade because of their built-in fan bases. The best way to get a crowd back into the theater after a pandemic is to give them something that for a fact they're going to fucking show up for. So that's why we have a Scream 5. You know what I mean? Look at the Marvel movies. They all did well during the pandemic. A lot of new properties.
Spider-Man was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Made $1.5 billion or something and still going. You know what I mean? So I think it's just a case of like movie studios now are playing it safe, and they're going to play it safe probably for the next 5 years at least, especially when it comes to horror, because it's such a divisive genre at times.
Yes,
so you're going to see a lot of well-known properties. So in terms of,
even though if they're shite, you still there is a loyalty based
that's the thing, like,
horror.
I didn't want to see more Halloween. But I'll go and see it, like, and I'm going to go see Halloween Ends in the same way I've seen H40 and Halloween Kills in cinema, of course, like, you know what I mean? It's like, but like, what you're going to see in terms of customer retention and streaming services, and in terms of viewership and box office growth, in terms of the theaters, with movie studios, you're going to see all these fucking new franchises. You're going to see all these old franchises being rehashed. We just saw Candyman. That was terrible. Like, and you're just going to see that, like, you're going to see these franchises like Halloween and Halloween Ends this year, doubted. You're probably going to see another Candyman movie, even though the reception to that was very like subpar, and it was very fair, to be honest with you. But like, you're going to probably see like another Friday the 13th. You already spoke with Scream, so you'll probably see a Quiet Place TV series. I think that's been announced. So like, which will probably
lead to a lot of TV series. We've entered an age where long format films are basically TV series because they have huge budgets now.
Yeah, and that's the the effect of the golden age television. Your likes of HBO back in the day, AMC, when we had likes of Breaking Bad, Lost. Like I think Lost was on
Game of Thrones,
Sopranos, all the way back. You know what I mean? Like, but that, like on the back of the golden age of television, when movies and studios and actors themselves started taking TV properties more seriously, you got to see more investment put towards these high level shows, and that's why they become, you know, as you said, extended movies. So, but like, and this obviously the popularity of streaming services and the monthly gross they make is fucking astronomical for their subscribers. But I just think that with horror, because of the current climate, we're just going. The future's not uber bright in the terms of new properties. I don't think. I think it'll be a case of reboots, remakes, like we spoke about in a previous podcast. We're going to see a lot of sequels. We're going to probably see maybe 2 more Screams, I'd say, within the next 5 years.
Actually, you know what? That seems right to me. 2 more Screams. Yeah.
In the next 5 years, probably like new trilogies. You're going to see popping up new trilogies all over the place. So like, if there's going to be 1 movie release and if it does well, you'll probably see 2 on the back of it, because even declining gross is still a lot in post-pandemic world. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think we'll have, though, a Quiet Place, or like I said, an anomaly, but that goes against the trend? Have some absolute property we go, wow, that okay, thank you, sir, tip of the cap. Because Quiet Place for me was a tip of the cap moment.
I would have liked to have seen, I would like to see Hellraiser maybe make it to the big screen instead of going Hulu. Even though I was a bit against recasting Pinhead as a woman, I'm a wait and see kind of dude now. Like I'm just like, I would have liked to have had. Because like Hellraiser, you can say is one of those franchises with many sequels, but really in terms
I'm reading the comics at the minute. It's funny you bring it up. I'm really deep in Hellraiser lore as we speak. Like, and it was that's the straight to TV movies.
Yeah,
and stuff.
Exactly. There's a lot of.
They're so bad that there's a knock-on effect.
Yeah,
that it makes the previous ones worse.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a case for Hellraiser to be renewed in more of a term than like a Halloween, because we've seen like so many sequels of Halloween recently. A lot of the Hellraiser sequels were so low that they didn't make it to the mainstream. They didn't make it to a larger popular.
I haven't even watched them all. I've never seen a reason to.
Yeah, the first, like, if you see the first 3, that they're the best ones. Like, I'll tell anyone, the first 3 Hellraisers are the best movies, and they're hard movies to watch because they're so gruesome at times. So if you want to watch them and want them to be high quality, I'll recommend the first 3 Hellraisers to anyone, but they steadily decline afterward. But a lot of them, as you mentioned, were TV movies, so they didn't see a large audience, only like a kind of niche audience. So if you, that's a property I thought was definitely worth remaking, and I'm a bit like. I know I think there's a trans actor. She's playing the lead role, Pinhead.
She was in Sense8.
Yeah, you said she's really, really good, really good actor.
Oh, she's really good in that. Anyway, she was very likable, very charismatic on screen. I wish her all the best. Again, it's a wait and see thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because honest to God, I think I will be very even-handed. I really, really want to like it, but I'm not. I'm not going in there to hate it or to like it. Yeah, I'm going to be very even-handed with it, but it's a property I love, so
it's going to be on Hulu. I think it's going to be on Hulu. I think in the same way like Aliens. I think Aliens has been done by Noah Hawley. I think I said Dan Trachtenberg in the earlier episode. I was mistaken. I think Dan Trachtenberg is doing Prey. I think the new Predator movie.
Stop it! He's already dead.
Yeah, literally within a sentence, I just talked about 3 reboots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you said honest to God, this is the thing. Of all the things you said, Predator, and honest to God, you actually just made me sad with the word. Just like it's been so with the Alien versus Predators.
I'm loving the premise though.
Yeah. Oh, okay. If it's got a strong premise,
the premise is it's a setback in Native American times. You know, I love that period of time, and it's going to be about a young warrior. She's a female. I think she's. Fuck, I can't remember her tribe.
A young human female.
Yeah, and she kind of breaks she goes against the kind of norms of her tribe, and she wants to be a warrior. And I think the predator comes down and shit goes down. So that looks
that's awesome. Yeah, I know that does sound cool. I always think when they tried to make like a predator world and they tried to bring people and they were introducing all these like predator dogs and big predators eating. It was so stupid.
The marvelization of predator.
Go back to your roots. Yeah. Remember, like the only good thing about Alien versus Predator is when they showed like the theory about how this pyramid came to be.
It was so good.
Was the predators on top of the pyramid fighting absolutely all the aliens. It looked epic, and I was like, "That's your movie.
That's your movie, exactly.
Your movie.
Yeah,
like, what the fuck are we doing here?"
Man,
but I do have again cautious optimism, but I do know that you also have to wade, like you always do, and you always will have to wade through some absolute shite. Again, like the me and Sheila always kind of say, what's your favorite trope? And for me, it's the fresh start.
Yeah.
You know, it's the teenage daughter who's 25, who's pissed off that she had to move away from her friends. Into a house that's fucking haunted or something that the dog knows is haunted. But like, you know, I'm describing 1,000 films.
Yeah. Actually, it's that Dan Trachtenberg's actually doing the Hellraiser show, not Predators. But Predators a movie. I can't remember who's doing that. But
Predators going to be a movie.
Yeah, Predators going to be a movie. So I'm totally with you. The fucking age-old haunted house trope we've spoken about a good few times in the podcast. Like the fresh start. Don't move me away from my friends. That when she meets a cute boy that's kind of weird and she has to fix him and all this shit, like that shit's done to death. As I said, it's like a whiteboard with tropes, a massive head and written across the top of it, like, you know.
Yep.
But I think, like, I'm trying to think, like, is there, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of any new properties that I'm looking forward to, because I know most.
Well, the Predator one, I have to say, I love that.
Not a new property though.
Oh, new property. Sorry.
That's what I mean. Because we're talking about the future of the genre. Like,
that's what I'm talking about. It's the same bag of tricks.
Yeah.
But like that's what. But I have to say, like the reimagining of it was excellent.
Yeah. Another fire starter coming.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But again, it's not.
Looks good actually.
It just stick with what works, honest to God. And you feel sorry for like horror authors such as yourself out there who are trying to like pimp themselves out, show them holes.
Yeah.
but you know, people will be like, it's always that thing, like Stephen King could make anything now.
Yeah.
And like and all hail Stephen King. I'm not coming for Stephen King here. Yeah. I'm not worthy. But I'm just saying he could make anything and they would just make it.
Yeah, but
it's that first,
the problem with Stephen King though,
break down the door.
They make it, then they remake it, then they make a TV series of it. Like the dude's got enough. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think he, like, there's other, as I said, there's plenty of other authors out there, like, you know what I mean? So like,
is there? Sure. 100% sure there's another author out there.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's I think that's the problem. Like, it's like, oh shit, our revenue's down. Let's fucking remake another Stephen King book. Let's, you know what I mean?
It's Family Guy that did it, and he was like, it was about an evil lamp. And perfect, you know. And it's like, can you have it ready?
Yeah, you know,
and they made that joke like 20 years ago, and it's just, you know, it works then as much as it works now.
Exactly.
More now, actually. We've seen Doctor Sleep, we've seen It, we've seen a whole bunch of
on the back of it. A lot of that came on
Carrie.
the back of it because of the success of it that we got to see. Like, there was a whole Stephen King fucking like tidal wave of content there for a few years again. Right, like, and it's not petering out, I won't say, because the man has got such a back catalogue of work and a lot of it's fucking fantastic, that it comes to the case of, like, obviously you're going to fall back on something that's such a deep pool, like, you know what I mean? And of all fairness to him for being published like 60 odd times or something, so like his talent is undeniable.
Yeah, it's undeniable.
But
but
even within Stephen King's back catalogue, there's stories that they've never made, but they've remade some of his stories several times. You know what I mean?
It's a fair point.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
a fair point. I read Rose Madder when I was a kid. I'd love to see a film of that. That was
why Marvel are better than DC, because Marvel keep making new shit, while DC are keep making Batman movies and Superman movies and Joker movies. Because
they're trying to find that thing that works for them, and then they'll
just give
maybe
something
try
new.
Expanding it. But Marvel have just been slaying it. There's no way around it.
Yeah, but it's constant new content. Like Moon Knight's coming out next month. Multiverse of Madness is coming out next month or something. Like, but no, it's coming out in May. Like, it's constant new content. Like, whereas DC, I've seen The Flash. I watched it for 6 seasons on TV. Like, I've seen Green Arrow. You're probably going to show me another one. I've seen him for like 8 seasons on TV. I've seen Wonder Woman, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to give me more Wonder Woman. Like, actually, no, to backtrack that, when I first seen the Wonder Woman movies, I was like, cool, someone new. But we're going to see like 4 or 5 Wonder Woman movies probably. Like, you know what I mean? Before we get to
and my God, was there an instant decline in Wonder Woman?
Oh my God, which was shocking, because the first movie,
all the same people were involved. Like,
oh, it was like such a poor use of resources. It really was. Like, fuck it. It's kind of like, we're going to get Pedro Pascal and not use him at all. We're just going to slap a silly catchphrase in his face, and that's it.
Yeah.
We're going to get one of the best actors that is going around nowadays, one of the most layered actors that can do any kind of role almost. And we're just going to give him a catchphrase: "Your life is good, but it can be better." And we're going to make him say that for like 90 minutes of the movie. It's like, all right, great. We're going to have Chitara. Is that her name? Chitara, was it? No, that's Chitara.
It's just Cheetah, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just
Cheetah. Thundercats, isn't it?
Yeah.
But like, we're going to have Cheetah. By the way, we're never really going to use her ever. Like, ever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be meaningless. It's like, come on. It's like, But that's the problem with DC. They're running out of ideas because they've got so few of them to begin with, and that's not a criticism. They've got some awesome ideas. They're just not using the other ones. You know what I mean? I think
And actually,
sorry?
to circle about to horror a little bit, DC actually have an awful lot of really cool properties that would work inside the horror genre, more so than Marvel, I would even argue.
Like the Dark Justice League. I think J.J. Abrams.
The Dark Justice, the Swamp Thing is,
Swamp Thing failed. I heard it was supposed to be a beautiful looking show, but
I only ever watched the first episode.
Do you want to hear why they cancelled Swamp Thing? And this is what I heard from Mark Bernardin when I used to watch Family Fatman Beyond back in the day. I just don't have fucking time to do anymore. It's an awesome show. It's on YouTube. Anyone check it out if you like nerdy shit. But he said back in the day, a couple of years ago, so I hope I'm not misquoting him, but with Swamp Thing, post season, because everything was shot on set, to actually store all that seemingly cost like $250,000, something like a month or something ridiculous.
Whoa.
So during the off season, because of the cost to actually have the setting, I might be wrong now, right? But this is what I remember from having the cost of having this swamp scene or setting and trying to store this set was so astronomical in terms of
maintain. It might have to maintain it, maintained as well. It says,
yeah. So like that's what I heard from Mark Bernardin on Fatman Beyond, but the reason why Swamp Thing itself got cancelled. But like in terms of new horror products, as you said, like I think Dark Justice, Guillermo del Toro was initially attached to it, but now J.J. Abrams, who I'm nearly 100% sure, I haven't heard much about this, with some surprise because he's such a big name and Warner Brothers is such a big company. That J.J. Abrams as signed a big massive deal with them, and Dark Justice is going to be one of his first movies, as far as I know, with Warner Brothers, and that's what I hear. So that could be a good, cool new property coming into the horror kind of space, in the mainstream horror space of that. Like, so it'd be cool to see more shit like that. And Multiverse of Madness, I know, is another superhero movie coming up. I know this is Polly Snatchers, but like I saw the trailer for that recently that aired during the Super Bowl on Sunday, and that fucking shit looks surreal. Like it looks fucking awesome. So maybe unexpectedly we're going to see more horror content from the superhero fucking genre. And once again, superheroes are going to come in and save the fucking day.
It's again, like we're talking about two of the genres that lend themselves so much to anything.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Why not? Why would there not be an overlap of the two?
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it. Because I for one really enjoyed Brightburn. I could take a lot more films like that. I really could.
Brightburn
again, that felt like something a little bit new.
Yeah,
that felt a little bit new,
and it was so gory, unexpectedly so. Like the part with the guy in the truck and the jaw.
Oh, that was horror. That genuinely shocked me.
Is that T.J. Miller?
Yeah, that's exactly who that was. Yeah. And where he kills his own father, the eyes, the burns.
The laser. Oh my god! Lasers. And Homelander was kind of, you know what I mean? Like they read the boys. Like this is what I love about the superheroes. Not to go too far top, but like that. Look at what they've given us over the last few years. Like fucking Homelander, Brightburn, that kind of new take. They're constantly giving us new takes and old fucking tropes, and not in a horror movie are constantly giving us old tropes in new packaging, but it's not really a new take. Like Brightburn is very obviously inspired by Superman in the same way Homelander is, but two of them are completely different interpretations of the source material in terms of Superman. And horror movies themselves, they're not giving us they're giving us reboots, but they're like the interpretations they come up with. A lot of this shit is is all the same tropes, but repackaged ever so slightly. But it's not really like a reimagining, to use Tim Burton's words when he butchered Planet of the Apes. But but you know what I mean? So I think that's like when I look at horror movies, it's like when I see In a Quiet Place, I see a Bird Box, I see a Don't Breathe, even though it's all within the same subgenre, that sensory deprivation horror, it's all something new. The way you can play with those tropes. Feels new, exactly. Yeah.
You can really enjoy a film, but if you ever just stop at the end of the film and go, was that new?
Yeah,
and I think it's an unfair thing to put on fix because there's so many films out there to say that everything should feel new, but some things should, and I think horror lags behind. It's certainly lagging behind superhero.
Like a Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Give me some more of that. Give me some more.
That was spectacular.
Those movies are genius. Like they're that's the real. This is what I think is the case now with horror. The generation we're looking at horror. We've seen the possibility of what this genre can really be like. We've seen what it can do. we've seen the way it can be implemented, and then we look at this tropey shit or this gory for the sake of gory bullshit, this torture porn and shit, like a lot of the shit that just like is just there because it wants to be horrific and to offend, but it has no real substance or content to it. So like I think because of what we've seen, we look at a thing, we look at Halloween, we look at Paranormal Activity. The first one was great, fucking a haunted movie. We've seen what can be, and it kind of annoys us when you see these tropes rehashed or these movies being constantly remade, because we see
when Tucker and Dale made fun of the tropes. That's what was so fucking brilliant about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it was a spoof done perfectly. Like, and like the original two Scary Movies, excellent spoofs. That's another franchise that got butchered.
They were a lot of fun. Yeah, oh yeah, but that was it. It was a cash cow.
That's the thing. Like, like I know
that's what kills the art. That's what kills the art. Cash cows.
It kills the creativity. It kills the fucking originality. Like a Halloween. Like, when you look at the original Halloween franchise before H20, just saying, before Resurrection, before Busta Rhymes was karate kicking Michael Myers to me vomiting in a bucket watching it. But like, and I'm like, what did you do to my boy Mikey? What did you do? When you look at like the Order of Tool, the black, what they call it, the Black Man trilogy or something, it's kind of at the end of Halloween. That they call it. It's like the three movies. It's all kind of centered around the Order of the Tool. It reappears at the end of Halloween 4, then Halloween 5, and then Halloween 6. So it's like the Return of Michael Myers, the Revenge of Michael Myers, and the Curse of Michael Myers. Those three movies, and look how much it veered away from Halloween 1, even Halloween 2. Like those two movies were straight up slasher movies, classic slasher.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Halloween 2, granted, not as good as Halloween 1. Few movies are, but they're straight up pure slasher movies. In the same way, even though A Nightmare on Elm Street had supernatural elements because the serial killer killed you in your dreams, Part 1's a straight up slasher movie. And then he became more. It's like something Beige talks about. Beige from Return to Craig's. He says that he hated the way they kind of made a cartoon of Freddy, the way it went along, and that's the way it did. Like, and same with Friday the 13th. Initially, it was about a mother seeking revenge for the neglect and murder, the death of her son. And then
that's one that took a left turn, didn't it? Like, it turned into a supernatural slasher. Yeah, Jason X. Yeah,
in space. God. You know what I mean? Like, look, Fast and Furious. Look, the way franchises. Like, that's what we talk about. Saw is the Fast and Furious of the horror world.
It really is.
Yeah, it just went crazy. I just think that people need to go. There needs to be a case where people need to see a franchise. They need to look at their ideas and go, this isn't good enough. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a different garden. Let's pick some new flowers. Because these daisies, they've been picked the fuck. There's no daisies.
There lacks a daisy color.
Yeah, this guy gets it. I set up me fucking knocks. But you know what I mean? So I think it's just a case of like, there's plenty of like new pastures for these fucking execs, these studios to go into. And I really hope they do. But because of the post-pandemic and kind of like, situation we're in, I can't see it. And I think the next 5 years were just for horror. If we're looking to the future of horror for next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of sequels, a lot of reboots, a lot of remakes.
More of the same.
More of the same. Yeah, that's the best way. I think that's what we're going to see. Whereas we got so excited when we talked about superheroes for all the reasons we've kind of leaked into this episode.
And I'm a horror guy at my core, 100%. Yeah. I have to say that for the last couple of years, the films I got most excited about. Like, I'm excited for Multiverse of Madness. Yeah. Actually excited for it.
Do you know who I always get excited for? Alex Garland. Anytime Alex Garland does that, and because I know it's going to be fucking different. I know it's going to be new. He's got a new movie coming out called Men. I just seen the trailer. Looks unsettling as fuck. He did Ex Machina. He did Deus.
I love that.
Yeah, he did Deus Ex. Is it Deus? What was it? Deus?
Deus Ex Machina is
no. I think it's called Deus. He did a TV series starring Timothy or Nick Offerman. I was nearly going to call him Timothy Olyphant. Completely different people. But it couldn't be any more different. But Nick Offerman's in it. I think it's called Deus, and it's fucking amazing. Like, the questions he asks of himself as a creator and of the audience, like, that's what I love. I love when you go back and watch things like Fringe, or J.J. Abrams just goes, and Jonathan Nolan, I think, as well. It was just like. Actually, I think Alex Kurtzman and Roberta Orci were involved in that as well. I'm not sure if Jonathan Nolan was, but they literally just said to themselves, we're smart. We're going to make a smart show. And let's hope that we attract a smart audience, because we're not going to wait for them. We're just going to make something smart and new. And let's hope we have some. And I know Fringe got cancelled because of a dwindling audience, because it was very niche. But like Fringe, looking back, everybody fucking loves Fringe. I've never heard of anybody that got exposed to Fringe and said that's a bad show. Like if Fringe 5 years later, it would have been a juggernaut. It would have been a 10 season show. Maybe it was better actually as a 5 season show. It didn't get bled. Maybe we got lucky that way because I think 5 seasons is often the magic number for a TV
Yeah,
show.
especially of long seasons. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, for 22 episodes. Like, look at Supernatural. It's a miracle that's dead so good for 15
That's
seasons.
an anomaly. Again, that's like we're saying, you're going to have some surprises down the road, but they're not going to be the trend. They're going to be
that's a horror
exception to the rule.
franchise that we were very lucky to have. I haven't seen the last season, but I've seen the first 14. I'm actually watching it back with my Lorraine at the moment. We're on season 11. That's a show that really shows you what horror can do. It got a bit bogged down for me in the whole demon heaven and hell because it became everything the show was about. At first, it was this. I liked it when it was like they kind of lost the monster of a week a bit about it. And when you have a 22 episode show, you need to have a few monsters a week, and they kind of got away from it because, like, I'm always saying I'm a big lore dude, and I love mythologies and stuff like that. And that gave me a lot of I just like a lot of nerd boners. And you're like, oh, it's a Wendigo. What's this about? And it's like, oh, what's this about? What's this about? And they give you like a crash course in mythology of this person or this creature or whatever. And that's what I loved about Supernatural. It shows you over a long period of time the fucking wide girth or wide berth that horror gives you, because you can run the gambit of having a Wendigo, haunted house, the paranormal possession, an angel, a fucking battle for the end of the world,
All
heaven
himself.
and hell, all horror. You know what I mean? Like all based within that horror genre. And that's what it shows you, that like horror is so fucking versatile. And that's why we get annoyed.
But you need to be hungry. You need to be hungry going in to do, you know what I mean? It's there for you.
Yeah.
But you need to be hungry. You have to want to try it.
It's like when you want to try a new meal, it looks appetizing, but you never taste it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So do you take a bite? It will make you sick. You don't know. It's not good.
If I choose try something new, will it kill me?
Yeah. So look, before we get the fuck out of here, right? I want to say to you, is there anything that's really on the horizon that's new? Because I couldn't think of it, and maybe you have.
I'm struggling. No, I'm at like new.
Yeah, new, like original.
The thing is coming out. No, man, it is absolutely.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, what you make of the thing coming out? What you make of a remake? Because it's going to be a remake that I think the guy who wrote it, John W. Campbell Jr., I think it might have been his name, not 100% sure, but he wrote a book, right? And all that was found from it was a novella called From Hell or Frozen Hell. I think it was called Frozen Hell, because From Hell is the book, the comic book from fucking Alan, what's his name? The dude that wrote Watchmen.
Yeah,
Alan Moore. Alan Moore. But so yeah, I think it's pretty much what was only ever found from the original novel was a novella of 80 pages, and some dude went back and found the complete work, and that's what the remake's going to be based upon. So there's way more shit in it that we've never seen before. So that's interesting to me. Even though, please don't remake it and try recast McCready. I have a McCready, and it's Kurt Russell. Thank you very much. I don't need another one. I don't need another one.
Okay. Like, I mean, we had perfection. What should we do now? Leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, what should you know? Stop asking that question.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's like rolled up newspaper on the nose. No.
Yeah, I like the prequel. No. It was harnessed. It was hampered by hamstrung. Yeah, by the technology of its time.
I didn't realize how perfectly it tied into like the actual aesthetic, how it set up the start of the thing. I didn't appreciate that when I watched it first. Yeah, I appreciated it when I watched it the second time immensely.
It's a movie I go to bat for all.
Even just that. No, leave it there. The axe in the wall. Yeah. The most subtle of things. So I have to say,
can't fucking wait for we do the thing, man. Jeez.
Yeah, I can't, because I love it so much. But also, like, I also love the perfection of the first movie that I almost don't want to touch. I don't know. I love it, and they're going to have things that are going to really suck me in. But the question was new, and that's not new. That's not exciting.
New. It's exciting. It's something that we're excited about.
New.
Like, there's plenty of old that have been put in the hands of interesting creators. Like we talked about Dan Trachtenberg, Hellraiser. We talked about Noah Hawley. He's going to do Alien. I'm very sickened that we didn't get to see Neil Blomkamp's interpretation of Alien, because unfortunately Sigourney Weaver's probably too old now to be cast as Ellen Ripley.
Ripley.
Yeah, even with the age, and I think like she's a woman in her 70s. Be a lot to get her to go and start doing action sequences, even though she did fucking Avatar pretty well. Like that's all.
Oh,
CGI.
absolutely. She's
Yeah.
probably in absolutely tremendous shape, but
Of
it
course, she's
still
been
would
rich
be
forever. She's been rich
Yeah.
forever. She's been rich for longer than I'm alive.
Yeah,
Like, literally,
absolutely.
like, you know what I mean?
But no, it wouldn't be the same without her. But yeah, unfortunately, I think that window of opportunity has passed.
Yeah. Do you think that's the case of there's not a lot of new, but you like me that the old has been put into hands that maybe can see something cool come about?
Yeah, that has promise.
Yeah.
Or at least like stirs your curiosity at the very, very least.
Oh wait,
But
Jordan Peele has a new movie coming out. Nope, I'm not his biggest fan. Everybody knows. I think he's a fucking racist motherfucker. But like, in terms of like as a creator, like fucking hell, like not Oz. The movie before Get Out was fucking sublime. That's a great movie. That's new. That was new.
That was new.
Like that was a great movie. Oz, no, he got hooked in his messaging with Oz, and like every white character talks like this. I'm talking like this. I'm going to be monotone until I'm racist. But like I just think so no, which I think stands for not all planet Earth is what people are saying.
Oh,
So it's about aliens. I didn't catch the trailer the other day, but I will catch it. I'll watch it tonight, probably in a few minutes. But that's new. That intrigues me because like when he's not lost in his messaging, he's a good fucking creator. Like Jordan Peele.
Yes, he is. He absolutely
like, you know what I mean?
is, and he's got hunger. He's got a bit of hunger to try things.
Yeah.
Again, that's what I'm talking about, swinging from the rafters and not always hitting it.
Yeah.
But at least you tried, you know? So
yeah, exactly.
I'd have to give him,
Yeah, I can forgive him for trying. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. I'd forgive him for trying.
Yeah, not for being racist, though.
And
I can say it because I'm right. Yeah, I said it. But what you call it? So that's coming out soon. We got Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Friday. That's not new though.
It certainly is not.
No, no, yeah.
50 years old this year.
Yeah, like you know, so and they're bringing back. It's like it's a sequel to the original.
Ah, it's a sequel to the original. This is like what they did with Halloween.
That's his old man Leatherface. He takes in a protege.
He's actually not wearing a mask.
Yeah, I know, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't know where it's gonna go. In terms of new content, but I know
you're hooked, and it's just going to drag you there, whether you like it or not.
Oh, of course. Like, I'm going to be front and center for the new Predator movie. I love Predator. I'm going to be front and center for the new Alien TV series. I love Alien. I'm going to be front and center for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Friday. 100%. Like, as soon as we're done recording Friday, I'm going to be watching that motherfucker.
Yeah, same.
Like what else? Like Quiet Place, if they make a TV series, I'm front and center for that. But that's a pretty new franchise. It's only got 2 movies, you know. So
that's it. Yeah, no, relatively speaking, horror terms,
yeah,
that has not been bled to death by any stretch.
Like what Stephen King books? You know more about King than I do. What Stephen King books off the top of your head can you think? Name 1 or 2 even. I won't give you too many. Like that you would like to see that haven't been made yet, that you would like to see being made into a new property. Because as I said, like even within his own titles, there's a lot of shit there that has to be made. Is there anything that you've read that you'd love to see made and that would excite you?
Yeah, with Rose Madder, it was a book my sister said it was 1,000 pages or something like that, and she said read it, and it was just spectacular, and it just lends itself to the horror genre so perfectly. But I guess it never got lit, you know. But they, like you said, they're just going to remake instead of going back. But I'd say he probably, like, I've read a couple of his books, but a lot of them I've read are like Gerald's Game, which we actually did get,
Netflix.
Shining, which we've got like 7 times or something now. Yeah. And we've got even the follow up to that. So I don't know. There's a lot.
We've had Carrie twice. You know,
we've had Carrie twice. Like
Firestarter.
Yeah, absolutely. I read Mr. Mercedes. I read years ago, but that's just a novella. Yeah. Cujo, man, it's all been done.
Mr. Mercedes, that was a TV series already. Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah.
Went off the rails after season 1, I thought.
Only watched season 1. I heard.
Yeah.
Even 11/22/63. Remember that?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like long grass, like all these things have been made. Like you know what I mean. Castle Rock, I thought was genius when they had it based in the Stephen King world, but like it was all like these like little kind of legacy characters that were kind of linked to the actual characters and stuff. But the first season, that was fucking spectacular. The way they portrayed dementia and Alzheimer's in Sissy Spacek was actually in it from Carrie. And she like that episode was fucking incredible. But like I like to see that kind of stuff where people look at a universe and go, let's operate within it, but not actually do the same shit. That's what I think I don't know if it was before we went on air or like, but when we talked about The Last of Us, I think it was we spoke about The Last of Us.
Yeah, no, we were talking on record about that. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to say straight out, right, that their story's told already.
Yes.
Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 are some of the most beautifully made games. Part 2, I know, is incredibly divisive. Some of the most beautifully made games, one way or the other. You can criticize it if you want, but the way it looks, the way the story's told, heartbreaking. That story's told. We know that story. We've lived with those characters in a way that a TV series can never express them to us in.
No, I completely agree with you there.
So to remake,
completely agree with you there.
Yeah. So then I think if you're talking about computer game adaptations, start operating within these worlds. And same for horror. Make things that have different characters, but they can use legacy characters so you can operate within the world. You know what I mean? Like, so
agreed.
I think that's what they need to do. So instead of rebooting and rehashing shit, just like maybe expand. Just, you know what I mean? Like, you know, just like
now your comfort zone. Like,
yeah, just like stop going like. Stop saying, "Oh, these 6 movies don't exist anymore. I'm making my sequel." That's not how movies should work. Like, if you know, I shouldn't be able to go into a franchise and go, "Hey guys, you know the way you put all that really hard work into those 4 movies? Tough shit, they don't exist anymore, as far as I'm concerned."
Yeah, God, yeah, absolutely.
I shouldn't be allowed to do that. There should be a rule. There should be a rule in their unions or whatever to say that nobody can come and creatively wipe out my work from existence. Nobody should be allowed to do that, no matter how bad my work is.
Maybe they will going forward because nobody accounted for it in the not so distant past.
Yeah,
you know, nobody accounted for it. You know, that you at least be canon, that you'd at least exist. It's like good or bad or different.
Halloween H40 bugs me the most because why give her a new daughter? She already has one.
Yeah,
she already has a son. You can't. What you telling me in Halloween H20 that you need to get rid of the daughter and have Josh Hartnett, have John be her son? Can Jamie Lloyd not be her fucking estranged daughter?
Danielle Harris deserved better. She was a legacy character.
Fantastic actor as well. She became a deadly actor. She got older too. It's not like she fucking faded into fucking like fucking obscurity. Like, you know what I mean? Like Rob Zombie brought her back, which I thought was a great touch from in a terrible movie, but like as Annie, like the Laurie's next door neighbor, and actually her and Scout Compton actually have a podcast together. Danielle Harris and Scout Compton actually have a podcast together. Talk about horror shit and all this shit. But like, I think when you have enough there, you can work with it. Like, you don't need to trim shit. Like, there's such an easy way to say that, like, oh yeah, she left. Laurie left. And she was too young to raise a daughter. She became estranged from her family. She had a son. She started another family. This happened to millions of people all around the world. She had another son. And in the later movie, Halloween H40, it can be all about Danielle Harris going and seeking out her mother and seeking out her history and why Michael Myers is going after her and all these things.
And us fanboys, like all like fanboys, fangirls, we would love that.
Yeah.
We would have loved it. Like, all we want is justice for our legacy characters. That's a huge thing in the horror community.
Exactly. And you're operating within the exact same timeline that they set themselves 40 years after the main event.
Yeah.
Danielle Harris is still alive. She's still vital. This is what we talk about Josh Hartnett, still alive, still vital. Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, so you have all the pieces. And you're like, this is like you go to me, hey, Vinny, I've got a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle for the Sistine Chapel. Can you make it? And I go, dude, can I use those pieces to make the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're like, no, dude, I've given you the pieces. Just make the fucking jigsaw puzzle. You know what I mean? Like,
as you're fucking told.
You know, the pattern is there. Just complete it. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, so I think we're going to see a lot of safety content in terms of like bringing the fans to the audience, to the theater, and getting fans to stay streaming on the streaming platforms. We're going to see a lot of new stuff, a lot of old stuff rehashed. But I'd love to see more Fear Street. I think the director said she'd like to make a Fear Street universe. Let her at it, because she let her at it. You made 3 fucking fantastic movies. Like,
and there's hundreds of years that you haven't touched.
Yeah, you know exactly.
I mean? Hundreds, like, literally.
But like, there's so many Fear Street books. Just make a different story in a different place. Like, exactly as you said, 100. Just make it in the 70s or make it in the 60s. Like, you could actually literally have every show based in a different decade.
Depression era America. Yeah, it'd be great.
You know what I mean? Like, it's there. Like R.L. Stein, that's another dude. Like, all those Goosebumps books. Imagine if someone said, I'm going to make a fucking 18-rated Goosebumps movies. Like, all the Goosebumps people now were adults. All the people that grew up with it and loved it were adults. We'd be like, okay, I'll give it a look. You know what I mean? Like, so like, that dude fucking wrote like fucking 60 or 70 books as well. Like, he's kind of like the child version of Stephen King, in my opinion. I always thought he was like,
that's what he is. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I think of him as well.
yeah, like, so I think there's so much there that I hope we see lots of new stuff. But as we said earlier on, to wrap it up for me, is that for the next 5 or 10 years, most of probably the next 5 years, hopefully to get a bit braver after that. Next 5 years, we're going to see a lot of reboots, a lot of remakes, a lot of sequels, and a lot of shit that we already know. But hopefully, because there's new people doing it, we might get to see some cool new shit.
Exactly. Maybe if we're not breaking new ground, doesn't mean that we can't be entertained.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you're not breaking new ground, it doesn't mean you can't make a nice extension on the back of your house.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Exactly. Yeah. So here's to the future.
Here's the future. Hopefully, we're getting scared in new ways, even if it's from old properties.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So, motherfuckers, that was Invasion of the Potty Snatchers. I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, Oljon Tui. Special shout out to Oz for our intro music. Thanks very much for your help on that.
Thank you very much, Oz. Really needed it. And much appreciated. It's fucking awesome. And Jenky is a motherfucker. And all right, folks, we see you next time. And what we do next time? Should we do Fox Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
We might just do Texas Chainsaw
Yeah,
Massacre.
Fuck it. We'll do Franchise Friday. And
all current up in here.
Yeah, fuck it. All right, cool. Next time, folks, check us out. We're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We're going to go chop up some people with some incestuous cannibals. Just how we like it.
Just like our forefathers. Peace.
I love it. That's the sound like our forefathers.
Want some candy?
Yo, she bitch. Let's go.